All right. Hello, everybody. We are officially live today. I know we didn't get to do a market close today. I was driving back from DC because I was there for the past couple of days. But we're going to be breaking down Robinhood earnings on this live stream today. And the goal is to kind of give my thoughts on what I felt about their earnings. And we're also, I believe, going to have someone join us in just a bit to discuss what's going on with the earnings and how the company is progressing forward as well. Because there's a lot of things that have happened over the past 24 hours in regards to Robinhood. Now, look, I know the stock is not necessarily performing as well as people expected it to perform. Obviously, phenomenal earnings by the company. Market didn't really reflect it as much as, most of us wanted it to reflect it, but that's kind of the nature of the market. It's like, it's going to do whatever it wants to do sometimes. And I think if you're long on a company, understanding the actual financials of the company, how the company is progressing, and where the company is going in terms of its trajectory is the most important goal. So overall, high-level thoughts around Robinhood earnings. Number one, I think they crushed it. And the reason I think they crushed it, it's kind of undeniable when you look at some of these numbers. The biggest couple numbers for me were $11.2 billion in deposits. That's up 243% year over year. Last quarter, this time they did around 4.4 billion. Then you've got 40% revenue growth. I did not expect $618 million in revenue, but they somehow figured out how to bring in $618 million of revenue, bolstered by their crypto revenue, which I have an interesting stat I want to share about that in a little bit. But crypto did about $126 million of revenue. I thought they would maybe do 75. They did 126. And then you got transaction revenues at about 329 million. Options and equities were all up along with crypto. And then net interest revenue was up from 234 million last quarter to about 256 million this quarter. So you had pretty much growth across the board. And the growth across the board led me to believe that this was not a quarter where Robinhood was messing around. This is a quarter where they wanted to show that, hey, we are really in the driver's seat here. And we believe this is a market that we can dominate. Now, the brokerage market is not an easy market to win. I mean, it's incredibly competitive. If you look at something like Charles Schwab, they have 9.2, it's true, they have $9.2 trillion in assets. When you look at something like Robinhood, their assets under custody did go up by about $27 billion, went from 103 to 130, but still 130 billion compared to 9.9 trillion. I mean, it's a joke in regards to Robinhood versus some of the other bigger players out there. So when we think about it from that perspective, I think there is a massive growth opportunity here. The question is, and the question that the market has been trying to figure out in regards to Robinhood, one of the reasons I got so excited about it at around $7, $8, $9 is like, it's trading at cash. I use this every day. I can't be the only one that uses this every day. So if that has to be a lot more, there has to be a lot more momentum built into the platform that hasn't been unlocked yet. And I think over the past few months, we've really seen with the addition of things like the credit card, gold deposits, 1% match, all these things that haven't even rolled out yet. So I think these are tailwinds going into Q2 and Q3, that the momentum is there. And it seems like they're excited to keep executing. Alex says, dude, are you interviewing J-Pal dressed like that? Do you think I would wear this to interview J-Pal? That would be kind of funny. I would just be like, J-Pal, you have to do this interview without saying two words, data driven. And I think he would start spazzing the entire interview, but that would be fun. Is it Dan Ives? It is not Dan Ives. Although I talked to Dan, he'll be on the channel probably in a couple weeks. So we'll get Dan on the channel soon and get his thoughts on everything going on in the world of AI and NVIDIA, Microsoft. By the way, we got NVIDIA earnings May 22nd. That's going to be a big one. I mean, we're talking about the market not being the best right now. By the way, I know Robinhood fell 4% today, even though they had a blockbuster earnings. The S&P is at 520. The S&P is basically where it was before we had that drop down to 493, which I'm trying to figure out how to make sense of, but it seems like the Mag 7's kind of holding it up. Apple's definitely holding it up. Amazon's holding it up. Amazon back to all-time highs. So that's definitely something we got to analyze over the next few weeks in terms of how that's playing out. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about Robinhood that I thought was really interesting is their gold subscribers. I mean, when I'm looking at the gold subscriber growth, I'm looking at gold subscribers that are up 260,000 quarter over quarter. And I'm looking at gold subscribers that also they did half the amount of gold subscribers they did in Q1 in the month of April. That's what they said on the earnings call yesterday. So the big thing I feel the street is worried about is, can they replicate this quarter, which I think they should be worried about. Because if you can't replicate this quarter, then this quarter is just a fluke and it really doesn't matter, right? We shouldn't care that much about how Robinhood is executing. But if they can execute the quarter over and over again, and all the indications we got from the previous, from the earnings call in terms of the amount of growth they have, their deposits are almost half. April was $5 billion in deposits, their highest level of deposit growth ever for the company. It's almost half of Q1's entire deposits in 1 month. So, and they're doing this all profitably. A lot of people were scared. Can they be profitable? Are they going to be able to pull it out profitably? Are they just going to keep losing money? They give them 1%, 3%. If you did a couple seconds of research on Robinhood, you would see that they haven't. I mean, if you watched my interview with Vlad, he kind of explained, hey, the revenue and the yield, we're getting 2% revenue yield. We give 1% away. We keep 1%. Boom. That's how you make a profit. And so the fact that they've invested so heavily in data science and product analytics, Vlad was talking about this as well on the earnings call yesterday. It makes me believe that they figured out how to do this in a profitable manner, which is very important given interest rates are the highest they've ever been. And if they can continue to do it in a profitable manner, then I think it's going to be very exciting to see the future for Robinhood at the end of the day. So it's going to be really cool. I think it's also really cool because this has been a company, we've been all covering as a community for a long time. And I think the crowdsourcing of due diligence that all of us have done has led me to kind of get more excited about everyone and all the insights they can add in regards to what's happening with Robinhood. Alex says those gold subscribers going to explode more when that credit card rolls out. Yeah, I agree. They're probably going to explode a lot more when the credit card rolls out. The question is simply going to be, how fast does the credit card roll out, and when the credit card is going to roll out and what are going to be the core routes by which they rolled them out. So one of the things that was also interesting for them on the earnings call is that one of the analysts was like, hey, when are the credit cards rolling out? Because a lot of people have signed up, but they haven't got it. And actually, they tweeted today, 5,000 people got off the wait list. And so I think they're being very prudent with how they do this. And they're being kind of cautious here, because imagine you let 1 million people get access to a credit card. They start swiping immediately. And, you just don't know what's going to happen, right? That many people start swiping. Does Robinhood have the credit capabilities to deal with all the swipes that they're doing? And can they manage that amount of volume happening on their credit facilities? They probably can, but they don't want another situation to, go the wrong direction, especially if they have to pull back the 3% rewards or anything like that, because it's becoming too much. So as you can see right here, Robinhood app, it wasn't a dream. We actually just rolled 5,000 customers off the Robinhood Gold waitlist, and we're not stopping here. That's what we got from Robinhood yesterday. They also posted this video of Vlad talking for the first time. They've never posted a video like this before. So let's take a look at this. Here's Vlad speaking about the results this quarter as well.
Hi, everyone. Vlad here, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Robinhood Markets. We just released our Q1 2024 earnings results, and we had a strong start to the year. Here's a few highlights. First, financials. In Q1, we had record total net revenues of $618 million, up 40% year over year. And we set a record for GAAP diluted earnings per share with 18 cents. Second, we're driving a lot of growth. We're gaining market share in equity and options trading, and we're increasing wallet share with customers. Here's a few highlights. Net deposits. They were a record at over $11 billion, including net positive transfers from every incumbent brokerage firm. Gold subscribers grew the fastest we've seen in 3 years to a record 1.7 million. And as of last week, customers increased their retirement assets under custody to over $7 billion, more than quadruple what they were to start the year. And third, we're continuing to innovate for our customers. In March, we held our first keynote, which received over 100,000 views. During the event, we announced several different ways we're delivering value to our Gold customers, including the Robinhood Gold Card. And over 1 million customers have signed up so far. There's a lot more to share with you, so you can check out our press release and earnings call at investors.robinhood.com. We're excited about the momentum we've built in Q1, and we're just getting started.
There we go. We got Vlad talking. Look at this guy. He got a haircut, dude. He did not have this haircut when I had my interview with him, but he's really freshened up here. And so I think when you have a monster quarter, you kind of want to freshen up a little bit and speak to the public and basically give out their message. I really like that he was able to do that, because it gave a different approach for their earnings. They had a good quarter. They obviously wanted to give a good presentation on that. And that's something that you do, as you evolve as a public company, you get different ways of presenting the results as the results come out as well. So really interesting to see how that's playing out. Dennis says, when is futures coming to Robinhood? One of the other interesting things on the earnings call, and I've been unpacking the earnings call and going through a lot of the numbers, is futures and index options. It seems like the way management presented it to us is going to be coming relatively soon. Now, probably, I doubt it's literally in Q2, more likely Q3, because that is a more sophisticated product and it takes time to roll that out. But it just goes to show the amount of tailwinds they have. They've got the credit card. They've got the 1% match on gold. Like you put in $1 million, you get $10,000 in perpetuity, which means you put in 3 million, you get 30,000. Like that is not even live yet for a majority of people. It's live for a couple people here and there, but it's not live fully. Then you've got the credit cards. Then you've got this futures index options. And then you've got overall deposit growth continuing to increase because you've got that 1% unlimited and 1% brokerage transfer. They have the entire 1% for if you transfer your brokerage. And I believe that goes up until June 28th. So there's just so many different avenues, I think, that they have to grow on that it's getting more exciting to sort of see what happens. Now, let's talk also about what's going on with the stock real quick, and then I want to discuss a couple other things. So I tweeted this a couple hours ago, and I want to read a little bit from it. So when a company produces results like Robinhood did yesterday with 11 billion deposits, 40% top line revenue growth, stock usually tends to run. I mean, I thought the stock should have been up 35% today, like easily. I think the company's been entirely re-rated. By the way, did you guys see Tanner's post? Our favorite fintech YouTuber is officially a Robinhood shareholder. This surprised me. I didn't expect Tanner to make the move on this. I know he's been eyeing Robinhood for a long time, but if you see this right here, Tanner, good friend of the channel, he's into the hood now. So we got Tanner. He says it's a blessing to get shares at 17.52 after their Q1 earnings results. Q2 is off to an amazing start, but this is a long-term play on who will be the largest winners as we continue through the greatest wealth transfer in history. And that's also what Vlad said on the call, which is that there's a generational wealth transfer going on. That should be good for Robinhood. So sometimes the stock doesn't run when you get those types of results. And then the conclusion becomes, although the numbers are great, something must be so bad that the market is not letting it move forward. So I'll wait it out, whether that's guidance or stock-based compensation or yada, 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 right? Something like that. So this makes the buyers, like a Tanner, for example, that were wishing for a dip to not buy the dip. Tanner ended up buying the dip today. And I think his logic was along the lines of, the elephant in the room, which is what is so wrong about this Robinhood quarter that the street isn't allowing it to go higher, is not really an elephant in the room because it doesn't exist. It's just an irrational thing. It's just an irrational aspect of the market. I went through the deck a few times now. I listened to the earnings calls about 2 times, and I honestly cannot find the thesis breaking numbers. I had some people get on Twitter and they got a little smart in the comments. They're like, Amit, you're blindly bullish. You don't understand that customer acquisition cost is going up. I was like, no. It's going down. They said, well, stock-based compensation is the highest it's ever been. I was like, no. It's only 10% of revenues. It was 26% last year. Last quarter was 81 million. This quarter was 62 million. I was just like, no, you're just dumb. Like this is not about me being blindly bullish, which by the way, I put out an entire bear case last week on Twitter. So it's like when these people say these types of things, I don't know if they think this is AMC and GameStop where we just say, to the moon forever. This is actual, hopefully high quality analysis where we look at objective viewpoints. I've had many people on the channel give me the bear and bull case. Hell, even Chris was on the market open today and he gave the bear case. So this is about being objective here, because if you don't look at the bear case, you can't have a thesis. But I'm objectively saying, as I went through the numbers, I don't see a thesis breaking number that justifies 4% down. I see a lot of macro uncertainty around inflation, which is likely the reason that the stock didn't go higher. So the 2 reasons I think the stock is down is, again, market's afraid of inflation. Number 2, and this is the more important thing, I think maybe the market doesn't believe that Robinhood can put up a second quarter of numbers that they did in Q1. And I think it's important to understand, because I like that the market is skeptical here. If Q2 ends up being like 3 billion in deposits and Q1 was 11 billion, then something was a fluke in Q1. There was some promotion or something that didn't really translate into increased deposits. But that's not what we heard. Now, maybe crypto doesn't go as parabolic as it did in Q1. And I think that's reasonable, because if Bitcoin doesn't have another bull run, then it is what it is, right? If it stays flat at 50K for the next couple months. But Jason Warnick, the CFO, said gold subscribers and deposits are almost half of what Robinhood was able to do for those metrics in all of Q1 within the first month of Q2. So now I'm looking at this very seriously. I did buy the dip right here, bought 25 shares, and I'm asking myself 17.15. I'm asking myself, why did I buy 25 shares today? And why did I buy the dip? And I think the argument for why I bought the dip is because I'm looking at a street that is afraid of inflation. I believe inflation is coming down, so it's not that big of a deal. Number 2, I believe that if Robinhood is executing against their core thesis, then Q2 is going to be just as good, if not better than Q1, which means it's not a fluke. And if the street needs another quarter, another 90 days to officially say, all right, now we'll put it to $25, be my guest. Take another 90 days. I can be pretty patient here. And for those that are long, you can even wait longer. If the company's going in the right direction, there's so many stocks in the market where it's hard to find a company going in the right direction and actually compounding more than 20-25% year-over-year growth, if you're lucky to get that. When you find one, I think you just have to look at it very carefully and decide, if there's something here that we should, really talk about and think deeply about. Shadow Gaming says, I think it's mainly about sustainability. I agree. And again, we'll see what happens in Q2. we'll see. Maybe Q2, the street was right and that it was unsustainable. And if that's the case, we were wrong. But, and see, I'm willing to admit that. The thing is, from what I heard yesterday on the earnings call, the stats I got, we're going to get April stats on May 15th. I'm seeing continuous evolution and growth on the product side and on the numbers, which I think is going to be beneficial as well. Ian says UK dropping interest rates soon. Yeah, the Bank of England did come out today and said they are keeping rates steady, but they're getting ready to drop interest rates. Unique thing. Maybe it signals the United States is going to experience a little bit more disinflation, deflation. I think we have CPI next week on Tuesday. That'll be a very big day. I will not oversleep that day. That is the largest CPI. You know, I titled the video last time, "The Most Important Day in the History of the World" or something. It was a fun title. And then I made like everyone wait for 40 minutes while I had dreams. Yeah, I will make sure I wake up for that one, because that CPI is going to define, I think, the next couple of months. We cannot be higher than 3.5. If we're higher than 3.5, forget Robinhood at 17, dude. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly for a lot of people. But if we come in at 3.4, we come in flat, we will have a potential chance to have sustained growth to the downside. You know, getting inflation from 3% to 2% seems to be harder than getting it from 10% to 3%. And I think that's what we're dealing with right now in regards to see, how it'll play out. Can you ask him when the new active trade web will be out? You know, they did ask Vlad that on the earnings call yesterday. And I don't think he gave an exact timeline, but he did say they're working on it. That's going to be important as well, because there's people that actively trade. Jesse, friend of the channel, I don't know what platform he uses, but he's playing around with a couple $1 million. He said he's open to bringing that to Robinhood if there's a unique experience, because he has no real allegiance to the broker there, especially if they're going to give him 20,000 to bring over 2 million in the 1% bonus, right? So but he needs to be on a desktop, right? He doesn't do trading on his phone. So you kind of need that advanced experience, which is another tailwind, I believe, to the business that is going to be exceptional for them as well, because it just becomes a sleep stream. Could you imagine? Dude, there are people on Twitch that watch Twitch streams. My mom's saying, "Can you come downstairs to talk about your trip to DC?" And she doesn't know that I'm doing an interview in a second. So let me text her. Doing an interview, Mom. Can't come down. Yeah. When can we expect the new UI? I think that's going to be rolled out relatively soon. And that's another tailwind I forgot to mention, the new UI. That's going to create new engagement, new user growth, potentially new ways of using the product, which just makes it more sticky. I mean, there's just a lot of things I'm seeing that are fundamentally orchestrated in a way that is giving them momentum and tailwinds. And the stock doesn't reflect that. And honestly, I kind of don't mind that, because if I know the tailwinds are there, I know the tailwinds will eventually win at the end. At the end of the day, good companies win. Good companies win. And if good companies win, then, we should eventually see Robinhood win, because I do believe it is a pretty good company. Why UI is being updated? Well, the UI has been pretty clunky for a long time, dude. The UI has been old, and I mean, I like the UI. I don't mind it, but it's been an old UI for a while. So I think it is nice that they're updating the UI, and it's going to create more engagement. And I asked Vlad about this a while ago on the podcast. You can probably keep the same UI if you really hate it, but the fact that you have the customization built into the product, I think, is exciting as well for the UI. Brian says the hood sell-off today was so dumb. I agree. The hood sell-off today did not make a lot of sense to me. Well, it actually did make a lot of sense, but it is dumb, because the market is as irrational as the market needs to be sometimes. Now, here's one quote from the earnings call that I thought was also really interesting. Jason Warnick, the CFO, said this. In short, we love the economics of the match promotions that we've been running. I think I said last quarter that the payback on the 1% match is a little under a year, and on the 3% match, it's between 2 and 3 years. And we're watching that closely, kind of on a monthly cohort basis with our customers. We're seeing the 2023 cohorts already paying off, and 2024 is off to a good start. Basically saying, hey guys, if you're upset that we're giving away 1% and 3% to bring all these deposits in, first of all, it's massively increasing deposits, which is why it's going to, and deposits yield assets under custody, which will help yield revenue, which is going to be important for the business. Number two, it's paying for itself in less than a year, and if the 1% match, if you give me 10,000 to bring over $1 million, and within less than a year, you get my 10,000 back, you make the 10,000 you paid for me. I mean, if investors can wait a year and you can figure out how to subsidize the business in other avenues, i.e., which is why they're profitable, right? Crypto revenue, gold subscriber revenue, all that stuff. Then that also allows people to not have to worry too much about, or at least the investors to not have to worry too much about how much you're paying to get these customers. The other thing I will say is that in fintech, it's hard to get customers, dude. I mean, you hear some of these banks, they pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just to get one account to open a platform. Once you're stuck in a bank or a company, Schwab, Fidelity, it's really hard to leave, dude. The switching costs are incredibly difficult. There's just a lot of high volatility to get someone to get off, a Schwab or Fidelity and use a Robinhood, or get someone from Bank of America and go to a JP Morgan. If you're already using it, you're already using it. And so I think it's important to understand that if they're getting these people on their platform, and those people are coming on their platform and they're actually engaging and they're putting in a lot of money on the platform, then they've got to be doing something right. And it's kind of been my thesis since $7, which is that if I'm doing it every day, there's got to be other people. And if they can just keep innovating, then maybe more people will continue to keep working. Does Vlad know it's your birthday? It is not my birthday, Thomas. I love this birthday meme. You guys are running with it to a different extent. When it's actually my birthday, you guys should not wish me happy birthday. That'll be the funniest thing to ever do. October 27th on my birthday. You guys should just be like, hi, Mitt, good morning. I'll be like, guys, it's my birthday. You're like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about, Mitt. We have no idea. We have no idea what you're talking about. Switching brokerage accounts is super annoying. 1000% I agree. Switching brokerage accounts is super annoying. I have not switched I opened a Schwab account the other day. I was like, fuck this. I was like, what am I looking? I literally felt like I was in the Stone Age, dude. Speaking of being in the Stone Age, I had to pump my own gas today because I was driving from DC to Jersey. Apparently in DC, no one comes and pumps your gas. I'm from New Jersey. And in New Jersey, people pump your gas. You just sit in the car, someone comes, they pump it, they take your card, boom, you're good to go. I had to actually get out of my car, go to this Stone Age looking machine, try to figure out how to like attach my credit card to it, and then squeeze a nozzle. Like I legitimately felt like I was from 1922 or something. I was like, what am I doing here? Didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was very weird. So that is an interesting thing I had to do today. And Schwab feels like pumping a nozzle, dude. And so does Fidelity. Both of those platforms do not feel like they're the modern era. Oliver Greenway, first time viewer. Happy birthday, Oliver. Thank you for being here. I appreciate the birthday wish, Oliver, but thank you for being here as well. Jersey folks feel entitled to gas pumping. Yes, Jersey folks do feel entitled to gas pumping, and I had to pump my own gas today. It is what it is. I had to do it. All right, folks. So we broke down Robinhood's earnings for the past 20 minutes. I did say that there was a special guest joining us to talk about the earnings. He's going to be with us for about 15 minutes. Now, I think I understand this company. You guys have seen my journey covering the company, but I think there's someone else who really understands the company just a little bit better than I might. Mr. Vlad Interview. Thank you for being here, sir.
How's it going, dude?
It's going really well. So let's get into this quarter. The numbers come out yesterday. Pretty mind-blowing is the best word I can use to describe the quarter. Deposits are up, assets are up, growth is up, gold is up, 40% revenue growth year over year. Absolutely unbelievable. First question for you, Vlad. $11.2 billion in net deposits. How did you convince people around the world to bring $11 billion in 90 days to Robinhood?
I think, well, it started just by making improvements to the product, launching retirement. And of course, retirement drove a lot of those deposits. The matches, including the 3% rollover and ACAT match that we ran for retirement, was several $billion as well. But even subtracting all of that, the majority was just customers moving money from their bank accounts into their Robinhood accounts and consolidating more of their assets there. And that was just sort of like the bread and butter of Robinhood deposit growth since the beginning of the company. So that was quite strong. And then the retirement offering is really maturing and getting more and more perception as a market leading product in the retirement space. So I think that's got room to run. And you went to our gold event. We announced 1% deposit match on bank transfers, which is rolling out in the coming weeks. So that's right. Rolling out very soon. And I think that should provide another tailwind to deposit growth. I mean, when you start looking at the value proposition of every dollar in your bank account getting boosted by 1% by us when it moves over, I think that's going to be quite strong. So on top of I think we announced 5 billion so far in April, I think that we feel really good about the deposit growth trajectory. It just shows people are putting more of their assets into Robinhood, and it's gone beyond just discretionary trading assets. They're putting their savings and their long-term retirement assets with us as well.
The retirement thing was very interesting to me. You tweeted this beautiful chart where last time I spoke to you, you had 4 billion in assets under custody on retirement. That went to 6 billion by April. Now you guys said on their earnings call it's nearing 7 billion. Why do you think people are trusting Robinhood so much with their retirement assets?
Yeah, I mean, I think the product is really great. We offer traditionals and Roths. We make it easy. We've actually beyond kind of the core value prop of the product, which I don't know if you've used it for your Roth IRA, but the way that we do the recommended portfolios in the
Yep.
context of a individual account is, I mean, we get great reviews for that. The user experience that, of course, is shared with the core product, the ability to trade equities and options and safeguard those for the long term in the account. And then you layer on the incentives, like the 3% match for gold members that's built in to contributions. We were the first to offer that type of value prop built into the product. And then, the promotion on top of that, 3%, not just for contributions, but also for people rolling over those portfolios from other places. And I think what we've also focused quite a bit on, which ended up being very, very important, but perhaps underappreciated, is the actual process of transferring assets. I don't know if you've tried doing that at one of our competitors, but transferring assets is painful. It's slow. You don't really know if you're doing it right. And so our team has worked very hard to turn that into a technology process. And there's updates to the actual transfer process coming out on a regular basis aimed at making it like much more frictionless and less painless. So I think we have a lot more room to run there. We have a lot of customers that are transferring assets that are still making basic mistakes that we can fix. And I think that we're still iterating on that. But yeah, fundamentals of the product are good. The transfer experience is good. We're starting to layer incentives, and the gold experience has created this flywheel where someone joins gold for maybe the credit card that's now rolling out. I just
Right.
announced that the first 5K external customers got their gold credit cards. So we're very excited about that. Some might come for the high yield offering, some might come for the retirement account, but then we cross sell them to other products. Cross product adoption is very, very high. And what you notice is if someone uses Robinhood for investing and trading, and then they open up a Robinhood account, their investing and trading activity in the non-retirement account also benefits from that. So I think you're starting to see the flywheel spin a little bit faster, and we've got a lot more stuff coming that the team is very excited about, and everyone's been working very, very hard. Like we're feeling the momentum internally as well.
Yeah, I think that flywheel is really important. And I also think it's important to give you your flowers after a good quarter and just say this was an exceptional quarter. The reason for that is because you're a public CEO. And when you guys have a crappy quarter, which inevitably happens for all public companies, you're the one dealing with all the crap. So on a quarter where it's really good and hopefully that momentum can sustain itself, I do think the flowers deserve to be given to you. I want to ask you about this, Vlad, in regards to
I appreciate that.
cryptocurrencies. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you and the 2,300 people there absolutely deserve your flowers for an exceptional quarter. So cryptocurrencies, basically you 3x'd the transaction revenue. You went from 43 million, as people can see on this chart, to 126 million. I thought you guys might do like 70 to 80 million. So 126 million was beyond my expectations. I have a stat for you that I want to get your reaction to. I don't know if you've heard this or not, and I want to see what you have to say about this. I looked at Coinbase's Q1 crypto notional trading volumes for consumer. They obviously have the institutional part and the consumer part. They did 56 billion in crypto notional trading volumes. Robinhood did 34 billion or 36 billion. That's 64% of Coinbase's entire crypto notional trading volumes you guys did in Q1. What the crazier stat is that in March, you guys did about $23 billion of trading volumes, which is 41% of Coinbase's entire trading volumes for 90 days in 1 month. Why do you think people are choosing Robinhood to buy cryptocurrencies on?
I think there's really two things. One is the user experience. And I think the part of the user experience that's useful to our customers is being able to go seamlessly between stocks and ETFs and high yield cash that's getting FDIC insurance and cryptocurrencies on the same platform. And then on top of that, I think for a long time we were offering very tight spreads on crypto transactions, but we weren't doing a lot to communicate that. And crypto is a little bit different than equities. Like trading activity is less regulated. There's no Reg NMS or NBBO, for example, which are just ways to ensure that regardless of what broker you're using, you get a uniform tight spread in the equities markets. That doesn't exist in crypto. And so we had to be really creative on how to communicate just how good of the spreads that you're getting on Robinhood are. And we made some product changes to make that more clear. And I think customers have been talking about it. You see it more on X and Reddit. People can compare a lot more easily between us and other platforms. And we've just seen the market share tick up and up as you're sort of showing. And, you know, we look at how our competitors are doing on the retail side. I think the other thing to note is you're comparing us to platforms such as Coinbase, which have a global presence, and we launched in the EU recently, but we're still predominantly US. So if you look at the US business, and you take into account the fact that we have fewer coins, we're extremely selective about the coins we list on our platform. I think the market share comparisons are looking even more favorable. So I think we're proud of the crypto business we've built. The team has been working incredibly hard. It's a strong team, and there's a lot more we can deliver for customers there.
Yeah, and I think as you said, I mean, the reason that stat blew my mind as I was looking at the numbers is because I was like, well, Coinbase is international, Robinhood's mainly in the United States, and so to put up those numbers, I think there's a reason people are choosing Robinhood over some of the other platforms. Vlad, I already know your answer to the next question, but I've got to ask it because people definitely want a statement from you. SEC put out a Wells notice, says, hey, we're coming for you when it comes to crypto. How do you think it's going to affect the business over the next couple of years?
You saw my statement on X. I think that, you know, we knew that this was something that could happen. We've seen all the other companies that have been served Wells notices. I think our approach has been a little bit different. We have been very selective in what cryptos we offer. We have a listing committee that does a rigorous review of everything that we list to determine, among other things, that they're not securities. And we actually came in proactively when Chair Gensler said they should just come in and register all these firms that want to offer crypto assets. We had some creative ideas for how to accomplish that, and we worked with the agency. We met with them 16 times, and we came in goodwill because fundamentally, I believe that this is an important asset. It's a technology shift in financial services that's relatively rare. I mean, a lot of the legacy companies that we're disrupting are running on mainframes. So if you think about settlement and trading and collateralization and lending being replaced by technology, these are things that operate on mainframes and are run by teams of hundreds of people in some cases that are, you know, COBOL developers.
Right.
So the technology benefit to embracing it, even for traditional assets, is undeniable in the US. And I just believe that, you know, we have to take a leadership position to make sure that the US remains the most competitive place to develop this new technology. Unfortunately, we've been moving a little bit away from that, but I think I'm optimistic we'll come back to the right spot.
Yeah, and you know, the Wells notice was very interesting to me because I know you guys have been very conservative on terms of the coins that you even allowed to be on the platform. So seems like it'll be a journey you guys have to go through, but nice to know your updates and thoughts on that. Gold subscribers, last time you and I talked, you told me that you have a belief that you want the gold subscription plan to be like a Costco membership. You're going to be very rigorous on keeping that price low to eventually grow and just build that into something that's inevitable for people if they use Robinhood to get it. I think you're at about 7% penetration of the user base. 1.7 million users now have gold. Why do you think so many people are signing up for gold? And do you think that is a tailwind for not just the next year, but for the next decade of Robinhood's overall growth?
Yeah, I think we've been very pleased with what we're seeing on the gold offering. 40% growth in subscribers year over year. Perhaps more interesting than the 7% attach rate is the attach rate of new customers coming in. So customers that joined in Q1 and are new Robinhood accounts signed up for gold at a rate of 20%. So
Wow.
basically 1 in 5 new customers in the quarter became gold subscribers.
Wait, so five people out of 5 new people that joined in the quarter, 20% of them, 1 out of those 5 signed up for gold.
Yeah, and that's a big increase from where it was a year ago, and it just shows we've been adding more to gold. And this is before the credit card even goes fully live. So
Right.
we think there's a lot of growth potential there. And what we see is that once someone becomes a gold subscriber, they start adopting our products. Their rate of asset accumulation on the platform is more than double non-gold subscribers. So it's I think Costco membership is a good analog. Also, Amazon Prime membership, where once you become that Prime member, you start putting more and more of your spend on their platform. And that's akin to what we're trying to achieve. But I think one of the main differences is that gold is a product in and of itself, and I think the philosophy behind it is the same experience that you would get if you're a high net worth individual from like a private wealth management status at one of the big banks or brokerages. We should be able to deliver to you at a price as low as $5 a month. And I think that's disruptive to private wealth management in the same way that Robinhood itself, the trading app, was disruptive to institutional trading.
Yeah, I think, I've been a gold member for a couple of years now. I know a lot of people that became gold members. 260,000 gold members is not what I expected. And half of that's already been done in April, which about 140,000, which leads me to my next question here. I think one concern Wall Street might have about this type of quarter is that the numbers are so good, they're so explosive, that it's a fluke. It's a one-time thing. What would you say to the people that are listening that are like, all right, Vlad did it once. Can he really do it again? Can you guys really replicate what you're doing or even have a chance to do that in Q2?
Yeah, I think there have been quarters in the past where the market environment has just been so idiosyncratically strong that it's caught us by surprise as well. So Q1 of 2020 is probably an example. Nobody really predicted that COVID would have the effect that it ended up having on the markets and on our business. Our business grew tremendously. Q1 of 21 was a similar quarter in terms of excuse me, the meme stock rally and some of the excitement around cryptocurrencies. I think what's different about this quarter is it's really just the strategy that we've been executing on for the past year and a half. It's a diversified quarter. We're seeing strength across all sides of the business, not just the active trader products, but also the asset growth, retirement, gold. These are traditionally more passive products. And as we look ahead, there's a lot of products that are either in early stages or haven't been released yet that we're also very excited about. And we think that they can drive long-term growth. Future is a great example on the active trader side. The Web Pro product, I've noticed in your live streams, you're not using Robinhood for web.
I'm not.
And I think that I know why that is. It's just realistically our web product is more geared toward novice investors, people that are just getting started.
Yeah.
And for the folks that are more active and are doing deeper analysis, we come up short currently for that use case. So we're working on fixing that, and we think that's going to be a huge opportunity. And that's going to dovetail nicely with futures and index options and other products that are on the horizon. And the international growth is just getting started. We're seeing really good signs there. But if you think about the total market opportunity, it's multiples in terms of accounts of what we have in the US. And we've built the infrastructure and the capability to actually go after that. So it feels a little bit different than where the company was in 2020 and in 2021, where we were just kind of trying to keep up with the demand that we were seeing. Now we're a much more mature, stable company with a strong foundation. We're moving quickly, executing on our strategy. And so kind of tactically quarter by quarter, I try to avoid planning it out that way. We have a multi-year roadmap that we're executing on. But I think the end result of that is going to be higher revenues, expenses that grow less quickly than our revenues. And it'll be great for customers, but also great for our shareholders.
Yeah, and it's so interesting when you say that there's such a large opportunity here. There's so many comments in the chat of like, when you come into Canada and Singapore and Malaysia, and it's like,
yeah,
you guys have such a unique product that people want to get their hands on. And to me, that has always been the moat of Robinhood, which is that product comes first. There's a product experience that creates a flywheel, given all the different products you guys announced this year. And that should hopefully lead to a much larger company over the next decade. Last question for you, Vlad. Thank you so much for joining my channel and doing the press run with me, CNBC, Bloomberg. It really, really means a lot to my channel and my community as well. Question from the community. Brian Thurm says, ask him what's on his Apple Music playlist before getting amped for earnings. And let me add a little bit to this question. This was a rock star quarter. Like this was a good quarter, and you and the 2,300 people there deserve your flowers for the execution of building this quarter. You knew the results before all of us, so you knew going into that earnings call you're gonna get to talk a little bit more confident than you have on other quarters. How do you get pumped for an earnings like this?
It's a really good question. Are you ready for a weird answer?
Okay, well, nothing was weirder than you read the physics books and you do proofs for fun. That was kind of weird, but go ahead.
Yeah, have you do you like Wes Anderson movies?
Okay, Vlad, I have a confession to make. You know, when I asked you,
you have no idea who Wes Anderson is.
No, I know Wes Anderson. No, I know Wes Anderson. When you remember when I asked you on the podcast, hey, what's your favorite movie? And you were like, Back to the Future. And I was like, oh yeah, great movie. I've never watched Back to the Future, but 2 weeks later, I watched the Back to the Future, so I could officially be like, I wasn't lying to Vlad. I actually watched Back to the Future. So I don't know Wes Anderson movies that well. Yeah, no.
Okay. So you've never seen The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou?
No.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's another one for you to watch. So I have been bumping the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou soundtrack on repeat for the entirety of the quarter, maybe even longer, maybe even stretching back to 2023.
And is that just instrumentals, or there's actual like lyrics in the songs and stuff?
No, it's a good little compilation.
Okay,
there's some David Bowie in there, some Joan Baez, and some instrumentals.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
you should check it out.
Yeah. No, I should check it out. And I just have to say, this chat, they live off of embarrassing me, all 2,000 of them in the morning. So the fact that you asked me a question about movies, which is the one thing I do not know about, they've just got a kick out of it. They love it. So thank you for that, Vlad.
Yeah, it's the kind of movie that I would recommend watching. Like you have to start it right before midnight and finish at like 2 a.m. I wouldn't watch it during the daytime.
Okay, I love it. Will do.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
Back to the Future.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I saw Back to the Future 2. That was good. I couldn't get through the third one. I had to clock out. I was like,
yeah,
it was not good. It was not the best.
Okay. I liked that when I was a kid, but yeah, I don't know. I like 1 and 2. I'm with you.
I love it. Thank you, Vlad, for being here. It means the world to me. Thank you for the chat for being here. Congrats, Vlad and the team. Exceptional quarter, and hope to see you again in Q2.
Thanks for having me. Really, always a pleasure. All right, see you.
Bye. All right, guys, that's it. That was Vlad Tenev on the show. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I will see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was a fun one. I did not know he was going to ask me about fucking movies at the end, dude. He really exposed the shit out of me. At least I told him about the Back to the Future thing because all of you guys knew, but he didn't know. That was awesome. So thank you guys so much. In terms of the super chats, guys, I couldn't get to all the super chats, but thank you for that. Adam, thank you for the $40. Really appreciate that super chat. I'm beneficial. The plans for hood to hood money, that just wasn't a main question I was thinking of. That would be that interesting right now. I'm beneficial, but thank you for that super chat. Thank you for the channel members, becoming channel members as well. And then Suraj, thank you for the super chat as well. The credit card economics, I talked about that on my podcast with Vlad, so I didn't ask him the question here, but if you want to watch it on my podcast, you can check it out as well. All right. Got the job done. Went to DC, met Carp, had a podcast with someone else from Palantir that is coming out tomorrow. And today we got to recap Robinhood earnings with the Vlad Tenev, CEO himself. And unfortunately, the stock is not doing what we want it to do. But I think if you listen to that interview and you are bullish ultimately on how you think Vlad thinks about the future, then maybe there's an opportunity in Robinhood for the long term. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. I will see you guys, Finance Junkies, tonight, 9 p.m. Market open, 8:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. Means the world to me. I'm not going to say if it's Sham, but his name might rhyme with Gijam. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Love you all. Thank you for being here. See you tomorrow morning. Good night.